Okay, let's dive right into this. Today, we're taking a completely objective look at a highly specific, honestly pretty radical survival manifesto. It's called Survival Plan After the Great Human Catastrophe. Now, before we get too deep, I need to make one thing absolutely clear. Every single claim, timeline, and solution we're unpacking in this explainer today comes directly from one specific source. We are looking exclusively at the writings of Xu Feng, who is the founder of an organization known as Life Chenyuan. So we're just going to impartially lay out his exact blueprint for what he believes is an imminent global collapse. This manifesto was formally published on September 15, 2023. In it, Xu Feng positions himself as a guide, and he basically treats this document as his final warning, the ultimate master plan for humanity. Now, whether you're a total prepper who loves sociological survival strategies or you're completely new to this kind of literature, our goal today is just to break down this source material so it makes sense. We aren't here to validate these apocalyptic prophecies, right? We're just looking at the incredibly structured way this author believes society has to be rebuilt. To do that, here is our roadmap for today. First, warnings and climate catastrophe. Second, failure of traditional modes. Third, Xu Feng's Life Chenyuan plan. Fourth, building 256-second homes. And fifth, call to action and recruitment. All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, Warnings and Climate Catastrophe. What's really fascinating here is how Xu Feng builds this intense chronological narrative to establish his authority. According to his text, back in April 2009, he was already predicting escalating climate disasters. Then, by August 2017, he issues this strict 15 to 20-year warning, saying basically, hey, if we don't drastically change, the global ecological system is going to collapse. Fast forward to October 2018, and he states, we've officially hit the point of no return. Which brings us to 2023. Xu Feng points directly to the extreme global fires, floods, and hurricanes of that year as absolute proof that his great catastrophe has formally kicked off. Which brings us to Section 2, Failure of Traditional Modes. So usually when we think about surviving a massive crisis, we think about relying on the grid, right? National infrastructure, personal wealth, maybe the military. Well, Xu Feng completely dismantles that idea. He argues that entire nations are just going to vanish. He literally claims that even governments as incredibly powerful as the United States will be entirely paralyzed. In his version of reality, your money and your political power hold zero value. And if you're thinking, well, I'll just form an armed militia and take what I need, Xu Feng warns that you'd literally just be digging your own grave. I want you to hypothetically immerse yourself in the scenario he's painting for a second. Imagine a totally paralyzed Earth. Computers dead, phones useless, transit is just wiped out. Roads are shattered, bridges are gone, flights are permanently grounded. The water and power grids in your city shut off for good. But it actually gets much darker. As all this human infrastructure rots away, Xu Feng predicts this massive, rampant overbreeding of certain insects and animals, which brings a terrifying wave of completely new diseases. So what does this all add up to? The text makes a staggering mathematical claim. Xu Feng writes that our current global population, roughly 8 billion of us, is going to plummet to fewer than 1 billion survivors. It's a chilling, hyper-specific baseline, but it perfectly sets up why he believes his radical solution is absolutely necessary. And that takes us to Section 3, Xu Feng's Life Chenyuan plan. Now, the text makes a big point of saying this isn't some spontaneous, panic-driven idea. Xu Feng claims he has personally spent 20 years doing the theoretical prep work for this, anticipating the risks and figuring out how to manage the dark sides of human nature that always pop up post-collapse. Plus, he asserts that this model has already had over 15 years of practical demonstration, so he's pitching this to the reader as a fully tested, ready-to-deploy sociological fix. Let's look at the actual foundation of this proposed society. Theoretically, Xu Feng states this new way of living has to be governed by something he calls the New Era Human 800 concepts. According to the manifesto, this is basically the concentrated essence of the entire Life Chenyuan corpus and Xu Feng's own writings. It's the mandatory intellectual and spiritual framework that these new survivor communities absolutely must be built upon. Which brings us to Section 4, Building 256-second homes. 256! That is the exact number of safe havens, which Xu Feng calls second homes that must be constructed around the globe before the catastrophe fully hits. The production, the lifestyle, the whole shebang within these 256 locations will strictly follow his Life Chenyuan model. But here is the real kicker, the capacity. The manifesto explicitly states that these 256 designated second homes are designed to hold roughly 80,000 people total. When you remember that Shufang just predicted the global population dropping to under 1 billion, 80,000 people is a tremendously small, incredibly exclusive fraction of humanity. So you're probably wondering, what about everyone else who actually survives? Well, Shufang writes that these initial 256 Life Chenyan homes will act as the ultimate blueprint. He claims that other survivors will be able to look at them, emulate them, and copy the second home model for themselves. And by doing that, he promises they won't just survive, they'll actually live what he calls a heavenly life in this post-apocalyptic world. This leads us right to our final segment, Section 5, Call to Action and Recruitment. Because Shufang believes the timeline is incredibly short, he pivots hard from prophecies straight to mobilization. He calls specifically on people he considers spiritually awakened to take immediate action. And his requests? They are highly practical. Step 1, if you have land, contribute your land. Step 2, if you have money, contribute your money. Step 3, if you have physical strength, contribute your labor. He views pooling these exact resources together as literally the only path forward. And finally, the manifesto lists his strict terms of engagement. The author directs interested people to leave a message on the official Life Genuine website, but, and this is a huge but, he includes a very firm caveat. If you want to discuss, debate, or argue about his theories, don't even bother. He explicitly states they have absolutely no time or energy to waste on debates. His final instruction is just for readers to widely spread this exact text to open a path to a better future.
Which leaves us with a fascinating, almost uncomfortable sociological premise to ponder today. When we are faced with the ultimate dread of global climate collapse, do humans cling tighter to traditional structures like wealth and powerful governments? Or does survival actually require the kind of radical, highly controlled societal reset that Shufang, the founder of Life Chanyan, is proposing here? It's a really compelling question about human nature that this text just forces us to confront. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning the structures around you.